Hello there folks, Steve here, out for a stroll. Yeah, you gotta know I'm pretty angry at your system, at your government, at the people you vote or don't vote. I can't say mine, I can't say my government because I don't believe it anymore. And I get angry with people, with you, not kind of taking a little bit of time to look at the concept of living out with this government. It's like we're born into a kindergarten, and when we turn 18, we don't know we're adults. We don't seem to act like adults because we've had all of that taken away from us. We've had all of that willpower, that manhood, that womanhood, we've had it taken away from us and swapped with robot tendencies, with subservient tendencies to serve some kind of higher authority. And I've always had a problem with that. I've always had a problem with authority. Teachers, some teachers were good and I looked up to them. And when you look up to somebody, that means you have kind of given them a kind of authority because of trust, because you chose that authority, because you chose that leadership. You recognised a good leader. You're skilled enough to recognise a good leader. But we enter this kindergarten on marriage. The fruit of a marriage instantly becomes a part of the state of the two married people anyway. So the child is born into the system. After 7 years declared dead, legally, in which case they're first allowed a bank account as far as I know. And we reach the age of 7, which is the age of reason, where a child is first made liable for serious things like murder. Then we reach 14 and that's another age of consent, and we reach then 16 and that's another age of consent. All different jurisdictions, all different kind of persons that have been created. Legal persons, natural persons, persons in commerce, persons in the flesh. And so we reach 18. It's called the age of consent. We think that consent means sex or something because we're allowed legally to court, to contract. And a contract is a contract between man and woman in interchange. And so we become 18 and we're allowed to fight in the war. We're allowed to contract and we're allowed sex. And there's other things. But we're still in the kindergarten and we're still treated like kids. Because the police and bureaucrats who are in the system have forgotten their place in the system. They've forgotten that they're civil servants. And any civilian should be protected by those servants. And that protection doesn't mean put in a lead box. That protection means duty of care. And like I've said on other occasions, care means more than locking somebody up for their own good. Care means not brainwashing them on every single channel on television with bullshit. Care is not putting subliminal messages in soap operas, not controlling women with soap operas, not controlling men with erotic pictures. Adverts, adversary, Satan, that's what it is. You talk about democracy, how it's not a true democracy. I think nobody seems to understand democracy or the republic. You seem to be getting something wrong, because it always points towards voting for another government or finding somebody else to blame always pointing a finger at the government and the Bilderberger group and the Fed and all of this lot, like as if we're going to get another government to swap the bad one? Or do you just vote for the lesser of two evils? I've not heard anybody yet, except for a handful of people, talk about let's just ignore the problem and get on with the solution. There's loads of people out there, and every time I say we don't need a government, what's the first thing that comes up? What about the roads? What about the hospital? Thing is, if I was trying to explain to you a true free market capitalistic economy, system, society, free society, you probably wouldn't understand it. Like the same as if I was to explain to you how a mobile phone worked. You probably won't understand it because you're not qualified to understand that electronics. Doesn't mean to say you're silly or stupid or unintelligent. It just means that you haven't focused your attention on that particular issue. Sorry, the camera's wobbling a bit. So are you qualified to actually understand the solution? If not, then you're better off listening to other people and not thinking you've got the solution. Not thinking that it's like protesting against the government or ending this, that or the other, or writing petitions. That's all well and good. But on a mass scale, if we just simply all said no to the things that we felt truly, honestly, that they were not correct, then slowly over time, things would be right. People talk about like lawlessness and anarchy. Anarchy would break out. Well, anarchy, look up the word anarchy. And while you're at it, look up the word paranoia. Anarchy means each man enforces the law. And not just the government and them servants of contract law, the business police that are enforcing the streets, protecting businesses from you. There's good police and there's bad police, there's good bureaucrats and there's bad bureaucrats, and there's a few good politicians and most of the others are bad. But at the same time, I can't say that all bureaucrats are okay just because like some of them are good. You know, if you're in a bad bunch of apples, the bad apple's got to be taken out. In a nice way. But as long as you lot are all trying to find another better government, another better leader, we're wasting time. The days are going past. Another week's rent, another week's gas bill, another week's electricity, another tax. The longer we leave it, the more we're paying back to that evil bunch of like greed freaks. So what are we going to do about it? You know, I think everybody should unite as individuals, just be individual and have the same natural course. But I realise that people are just in too much doubt. Everybody I know, or most people I know, seem to think that everybody else is dangerous and constantly pushing it down my throat that people are bad. Of course there's bad people. But most of those bad people are just misunderstood because you walk around them like in a massive ring just because they've got a nose piercing or a tattoo or something that makes you scared. They're going to like see you like a mirror and they're going to be scared. And so most of the time it's you who needs to change you. And then other people will see that as a good example. But by us just simply moaning at the government all the time, oh, we want a new government, we this, us them, they are bad, we are good. No, it's crap. I don't team up with anybody because everybody I know has got a different fault. And I think we should test each other. Love test each other, see if the love's still there. See if that passion's real, or see if it's just pure malice. Because I can tell you, this isn't pure malice. I decided to just put some conviction into this because I get sick of this talk, because blah, blah, blah. politicians and just boring and hidden agendas, one after the other. Secret societies and hidden agendas. They can all go off and have as many secret meetings as they want. I'm going to have secret meetings on my own. I don't care, because anybody can destroy the planet. I'm surprised there isn't a hell of a lot more aggression in the world. It must be all of the drugs that they're feeding. But my God, sometimes I get pretty angry. And I'm a pretty calm and collected kind of guy. You know, there's people out there who have had pretty bad hardships done to them. You know, the government have taken the families apart and taken the possessions from them. And none of us had the time or energy or guts or anything to do anything about it. We just go back to our stupid soap operas, computer video games. Now, I mean, we're all entitled to a bit of fun and recreation. But if we're going to rock, let's rock together. If we're going to party, let's make a party. Give it some meaning. I don't just want to just spend the weekend just because I've got time off work and I need a recreational few hours because I can't stand my job. Because that's just perpetuating the same problem every time. Now, if some of you can't find a way out, that's fair enough. Hopefully those with a bit of strength and a bit of know-how can do something about it, and then maybe we can make something out of this situation. But as long as all of the people who think they're cushy and they've got a nice job and they're high up and they're safe and they've got a house and a family and a wife and kids and they think they've made it till the rest of their life, if them people don't pull the socks up and get to work and start doing something good and start doing something right from their heart, because most of the richer people, it's done with a lot of understanding, but I don't know if there's a lot of empathy involved. And I think if people just turned on that empathy, turned on a little bit of heart for others and realised, yeah, shit man, if we don't start having a bit of heart for each other, there's going to be bad vibes. If people come knocking at my door with bits of paper, there's bad vibes, isn't there? But if somebody wants to talk to me like a human being and ask me and question me, and I'll question them, and we have a sensible discussion, that's human, isn't it? That's adult. You know, some might say, why are you losing your temper on this video? Isn't it a bit childish? Well, no, actually. I'd like to see more people raise the voice. Just so that you, the viewer, and me, the viewer of you, can see how much actual conviction we've got for this thing. Or is it just a hobby? This system needs changing. I don't mind how it changes, because I live my life my way. But I'll be damned if I'm going to stand back and watch all my friends be slaved into such a horrible system. I put a lot of time into researching what the problem is. I've been very, very, very fair on every party involved, and I just keep coming back to the same problem. The problem is us. The problem is you. The problem is me. How can you make the problem your enemies? You're just giving them all your responsibility, whoever the enemy is. And I don't believe that by giving somebody... I don't think that love will convert everybody. I think some people just have no empathy and they would just suck from that love and become more and more popular and devouring that fake love. Because love is not just that simple. Love. There's love making, there's unconditional love, there's love for your family, there's love for your lover. You know, unconditional love means that you feel that love for that person, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you show that love to that person. That person may need a loud voice. I just don't know what to do on this channel to make things work. And I feel things are right. I feel this video now is right. But it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy and courage to kind of just open up like this and just let it flow and realise that not everything I say flows. Not everything I say is going to be a truth that everybody can understand. You know, but it seems like statists, people who like the state, like the government, statists, are interested in status, and which is a fixed, static portrait of yourself, which you build and build and build through career moves and through contacts and through bribery and anything else you can do to get up that ladder of success to the top of the pyramid by standing on anybody's shoulders, especially those who appear not to deserve it. The statist, the kind of mentality about achieving things for tomorrow and from tomorrow's tomorrow. But no, life's about now. And if you haven't got that, then you're probably better off looking at that point. The power of now. Because if you're like planning everything for tomorrow, you're probably not really, you're probably missing today. I don't know, folks. I hope I haven't been unfair to you on this video. And the idea isn't to actually say anything anyway. Just to kind of show you in my insides. Because as every day goes on and I watch, like you all, like we all have to watch the horrors and the pain. And then some of the horrors and the pain are just fake. I don't know what to say. Just think about it, folks. Think about it. Think about just simply not having to have a government. Think about every service that's supplied by the government can be supplied by a company. That company can be monitored constantly and made transparent by media, free media. That media can be controlled by us. Because there's so many people with cameras that the truth will be filtered through all of the chaos. But the mainstream media has an agenda and it's paid. Everybody on the mainstream is paid. And so, money, if you follow money, you find the root of the evil. Most people on YouTube are putting up videos, are earning very little and putting a lot on the line, putting their own selves, their own person, their own secret thoughts, their own emotions into videos, only for these platforms to become more and more difficult to use for no reason, it seems. But all the same, we have the freedom, and I'm amazed at the amount of freedom we've been given on these videos to just tell things that might be absurdly slanderous towards governments and queens and other big powers. You know, it's those little people who are, you know, really risking our necks trying to take on such a big issue. And then you get comments that are a bit lame and just sort of treat it all like a joke, which, you know, I can understand and that's okay. You know, people want to keep things light-hearted, but it's, you know, time. If every company was a company and it was free from taxation and regulation, then we would be responsible for that. We would be responsible for keeping the balance. But we're not yet used to governing ourselves. We're not yet used to going down to the hospital and giving them a little bit of money out of our own free will. We're not yet used to going and paying the road company. But even then, we will be. We will be, because things would change and you would find the incentive. Money would no longer be debt, but it would be in your hands as credit, and you would want and love to give money to those places where you felt it was empowering the cause. The freedom to actually go to the places and give them the money and make sure that it's in the right hands. and not just have tax sucked out of your wages, and a tax sucked out of every commodity, tax sucked out of everywhere, then give them back on a false pretense that you're owned, when in actual fact the people own the Commonwealth. It's just that we need to be grown up enough to deal with it, grown up enough to understand the faculty of intent, how your will is applied to something. You can't go around copying other people. It has to be out of your will, it has to be out of your conviction. If it's a we thing, if it's a group thing, we tend to get lost. So if you can't stand in that group as a solid individual, as a level with the others, if you think you enter in a group and then you get pushed down underneath, you're no better off than before, because your thinking will change. It will become groupthink again. It will become peer think, and everybody wants you to think their way. Of course, everybody wants to be understood, but you can only do what's right for you. As soon as you start to try and please others, it ends up like Christmas Day. Everybody gets not what they wanted, and everybody has to pretend they're happy with what they've got, and everybody has to continue using that thing even though they don't like it. You know, that stupid pullover that Aunt whatever gave you, and every time she comes around you have to fish it out of the bottom of the cupboard and quickly put it on, because she'll ask you, do you wear it, do you like it? And you say, oh, I love it, I love that shirt. And so surely that is the problem, this Christmas Day problem kind of thing, this giving without sort of any self-interest. You know, if we had a self-interest, then we'd tell the other person exactly what we wanted, or we'd just get it. I don't know, but the way we're doing it now is just stupidity. It's a tradition of idiocracy. There's so much of it's reversed. So much of it's just reversed. In law, we're not even flesh and blood, we're legal fictions. The beginning of the Bible, it says God made man in his own image. When you sign up for some account, you're making an account in your own image. You are literally the God, the one who gave it the will. Nobody else can undo that. You've made a contract, you've created a legal fiction, you've created a person, a legal person. You've actually created something in your image, you see? You see how things can be completely, you know, from God being a supernatural human alien being that's created the earth in 7 days, it's just contract law, in my opinion. Don't want to step on anyone's shoes, feet. But we are gods, and as soon as you try and tell me I'm not connected with that source, whatever you want to call it, there's a million names for it, and I'm not going to recite them all. I'm born in England. So, God is the word. Change country, change word. Dios, God, Allah, Vishnu, Shiva. There are all kinds of deities. But at the end of the day, are they different? No. Because the concepts, they're just concepts, they're merely concepts, legal fictions in a way. Don't try and tell me a book is more than a book. Don't try and tell me ink is more than ink. And paper is more than paper. I don't care how old it is. It wasn't written by God. It wasn't written by the deity. It was written by somebody who conceptualized it. And it was a concept that was useful. It wasn't just some mythology. It was useful at that time. People understood it. People understood each tag, each day. People understood what good means in that sentence. It doesn't mean nice. You know, so everything has been reinterpreted, and it seems to be the advantage of the corruption. I'm not going to say government or any particular group, because that cairn of corruption is in everybody. It's just that those with the most leverage, those with the biggest connections and the family inheritances, their evil is obviously going to be far worse or bigger in scale than my evil. But we all have that potential. We all have that potential to, and that's why nobody believes that it'd work without a government, because everybody sees their own potential to steal, to even murder people they hate, or people see that inside themselves, because we have two selves. Like the twins. The one that's tricking, the one the tricky one that always wants to be right and fool people and get the better. The one who doubts everything. And there's the other side, which is a kind of a loser, a good-hearted loser. And both are necessary, both are necessary, both sides of yourself are necessary. The twins. But only, it's like two legs. You can only walk with two legs. Well, you could hop with one. But you walk with two legs, you've got the left leg and the right leg's always right and the left leg's always left. And we need both legs to move forward, but we're never walking on both legs at once. And it's the same as the selves inside, the evil twins. Well, one of them's evil. And which ones are getting the better? Because at the moment where we spin round and say, there's nothing you can do anyway, if you can't beat them, join them. Then you've joined them. As soon as you join them, you're in the pen. You're in the fence. You're in their club. You're a citizen. You're sitting. I'm not sitting, I'm standing. We just don't understand the language. So there's no way we could even defend ourselves in a legal situation anymore. So unless we all understand, every single one of us, at least those of us who have the intellect to and have the interest in societies and people, those of us, we need to have a better understanding of our language. I know it, I can see it. I can see people are just talking across each other. It's even difficult for me to speak now because the words have so many meanings. And then I'm presuming that you're presuming something else than I'm doing, so I try and double presume what you're going to presume. It's a stupid game. Why can't we just take each other the benefit of the doubt? And then you'd say, well, hang on a sec. A lot of these people who are talking big issues with these suits and ties and clipboards and all this like appearance of authority, they're just talking off bits of paper. They're nothing other than talking paper. And in fact, they're in their capacity as a bureaucrat or an official, they are just an official. They're just a fish in the office. They're not a human being then. That's why you can't talk to policemen properly, because they're in their policeman's capacity. For certain people like policemen, they can't even leave that capacity properly. They couldn't do what I do. A lot of people couldn't just say things like this on the time off. It'd cost them the job. And then they'd just, it wouldn't work. So it's got to be done right in the right order, step for step. The right people have to stand up and encourage those who are still in doubt that we can have a better world and we can coexist, because we do coexist. And if everybody thinks that the government now is making the world a safer place, then I really don't know how to show you that it isn't. I mean, you'll see a lot of anti-government things this year. But you'll notice that none of those people who are actually in that anti-government movement are like acting as kind of independent individuals. As soon as any of us start to form a group against, then we're not individuals, really. Not in my opinion. We have things in common. We unite. We're both, we've all got we're all human. We all speak. We all understand each other. We have emotions. We're a lot closer together than a lot of other things, even though we might hate or loathe each other as human beings at times. That's only because the love's so strong. Or was. It should be. We have to change things, and we have to change things. I don't like using the word we. I have to change things. This is my attempt, and I really don't know what to say or do. I've removed myself from all of the things that I can think about for now. And I think really all it takes is just for people to talk to each other, be a little bit courageous, risk losing some friends, because I tell you, in a couple of weeks' time, when they're upset with you and they're pissed off and looking on the internet because they want to know that you're wrong, they'll find out that actually there's a little bit of rightness to what you say. And they'll come back and they'll probably say, I didn't really mean it because, you know, things are hard. But sorry, mate. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Because you know, do you know if you're telling the truth or not? I'm sure you do. So why are you not telling it? Why do you just, you know, why do you edit out the bits that are the most important? Why do you just want to give this impression that everything's sort of okay? It's better than okay. It's absolutely wonderful. You know, there's so many people working on brilliant projects on permaculture with Jeff Lawton and Zepp Holzner. Or check out free energy devices at the Tesla Tech Institute or other institutes, other places. There's people working on all kinds of amazing things, but none of it appears in the mainstream media because it's too empowering. So what do we get in the mainstream media? In Coronation Street. Drama. It just teaches us incorrect responses. I mean, don't get me wrong, I watched that stuff for years. And that's why I know. That's why I know it's going to be our doom. And if I don't tell you, it's going to be your doom. But I don't watch it. And I can't really say to you, don't watch it. But I can say to you that it's social engineering. It's manipulation. It's brainwashing. And you know it. And you like it. And that's fair enough. And we can learn a lot from soap operas. But I don't think people are, especially with the amount of toxins and the amount of pressure that people are under, I don't think they've got the actual strength to fight the brainwashing powers of television. So people get home, fix their eyes directly onto the screen, and that's the willpower gone. You're just giving your willpower up to this box, which is okay if you can like find a suitable film with no adverts on it. But as soon as you let yourself just drift off into television, you're at a massive danger. I'd say television is more acidic than anything else. I didn't watch telly for years, and then a few months ago when I didn't have any internet, I thought I'll plug in the TV and see what's going on in the world. What a bad mistake. I even started to doubt everything I'd said on this channel. I even started to think to myself, there isn't really a lot you can do, is there? We might as well just sit and watch telly with everybody else. It's quite fun, actually. It's quite stupid. But then after a while, my stomach just felt funny and I just couldn't do it anymore. Life means too much to me to just sit and be bombarded with advertising and manipulation. Honestly, you know. Oh, but I know the powers of TV and I watch it with different eyes. Yeah. Exactly what I said. Until I realised that, you know, every time there was a naked woman being flashed on the screen, or a shape, or something that was manipulative, that it has an effect, that I am a man, and that if these images didn't affect me, there'd be probably something wrong with me. But I don't think many people admit to that weakness, because they probably don't even quite feel it. But it's there. You know, when you're watching a film and you get angry, that's it. That's when the brainwashing is taking place. It's not your mind, it's your stomach, your second brain. That's where it goes. You know, when you're watching Coronation Street and you get angry because some of the dramas taking place, that's where your responses have been manipulated. So next time you end up overwhelmed by a situation, your senses will call back on the last situation that you know, which will have been on television, because they'll give you every single scenario that can possibly fit to one of the conflicts that you're going to come into. Let's take a television image where top models are just eating chocolate all the time, and pizzas and burgers and stuff, and advertising stuff that they don't even use. You know, the fact that women are made totally beautiful with means of stretching the screen and putting soft filters on and lighting and makeup, and a long time to set up that particular angle of the face so it looks the best, and it makes all other women feel inferior. And so then women are watching television and out to find their ultimate man. A lot of women seem to have this thing, one day I'm going to find my true love. I'm going to find the perfect man. And it just happens to be only one of the TV stars, you know, as a role model. So, you know, if you actually role modelled one of those stars, you probably get in, you know, especially if you just act like an asshole, you know, the asshole boyfriend, aggressive, and I shouldn't be saying this, but you know, it seems that's what a lot of women want, you know. And how do I know that that's not just a massive manipulation from television? Because to be quite honest, I think everybody needs to change their attitude towards, you know, men need to change their image of women, and women need to change their image of men, because it's just stupid. It's just stupid. We just all end up lonely, with high expectations, hating ourselves because we can't fulfill the partner's role. It's just manipulative, and none of us are really to blame except for the fact that we just let it happen. We sold out on our dreams. We went to school. Like I say before, not everybody can change their lives. So really this message only goes out to a very, very small percent of viewers. But the rest of you who are maybe not able to do anything can at least take it on board, and at least make sure that you're not you know, stopping people from like helping others to be healed. You know, just because you might be getting some money from your government doesn't mean your government is that you should support your government. That is like hostage, holding yourself hostage, and then paying the ransom money to the government. That's all that's happening. I'll give you some solutions, not in this video because it's already long enough. There's loads of solutions, and to a certain degree people have got themselves in this mad idea that the world was going to end, or that the system will crash, or that, you know, whatever will take over, aliens, lizards, blah blah blah. And I get sick of all that conspiracy stuff. I've watched it for years and give it a lot of credence, but after watching people like Alex Jones put pitch shifters on their voice to make them go lower, yes, we have to fight the world new order. No, sorry mate, but don't you think that's fear-mongering? I know I'm maybe fear-mongering myself, but I'm not putting a pitch shifter on. I'm not pointing a finger constantly at Bilderberger groups and stuff. Because, of course, it's very interesting. I'd love to talk to some of the Bilderberger lot. I'd love to ask them, you know, what do you make of humanity? You've probably got, you know, you Bilderberger lot, you've probably got a hell of a lot of problems trying to get this thing back on its tracks. Everybody's calling you out and saying you're to blame. There's all those white papers and that, but the people just simply won't learn. They simply won't get your tricks, and they simply won't get the message. So what are you left to do? You can't do anything, can you? There's nothing you can do because everybody's pointing a finger at you, and all you want to do is maybe give the power back. But the people have got to want the power back, so you've got to make it hard for the people to get the power back. Because you can't just give a child the power without the child knowing how to harness the power, can you? So, we've got a planet of children. Or at least, we've let ourselves be children for so long that we've forgotten how to govern ourselves. So now we've got a bit of a fix, haven't we? You see what I mean? You know, if you make politicians to blame, what would you do? You know, what would you tell me to say if you was, you know, because I don't believe in government. I'm a kind of an anarchist, but I don't carry titles. But an anarchist is somebody who, you know, enforces their own law, and everybody should enforce the law. But say if, you know, if I'm a nice kind of guy, a nice anarchist who doesn't believe in government anyway, so it's not anti-government or pro-government, it's just government's for somebody else. Like, I don't really like green olives much, so I'd take them off my plate and give them to someone else. You know, there's no big deal there. So if you want a government, if you want governing, for starters, it has to be a form of government that doesn't force every single living human entity into its ban. That has to, you know, if you want a government, you can't force it on me. Yeah, so if you want a government, right, and if you've got something that you want to say to that government, I'd be more than happy to say it to your government. I mean, it's probably even better coming from a neutral person like myself. You know, but if you want me to go down to, let's say, go down to Switzerland, to Davos, they have a world forum, political forum every year. And I think they let the press in. I could maybe get in there with my guitar and sing them a nice little song. I could maybe ask him a question. I wonder, though, because I ain't got anything to ask him, because I don't consent to them or anything, you know. I respect them as a business, and I respect everything, but I don't see the need to ask them anything. But if you want me to ask them something, I can ask on your behalf. So if you want to leave a comment or a private message or anything that I should, that if I could ask, you know, within 20 seconds I've probably got, then let me know. Let me know what that would be. Because I'm, you know, I did consider just leaving the system and hiding in the woods, but now I just can't watch it. You can't watch everybody in this pain. Just can't watch everybody in this pain. And so that keeps me driven, the pain that I see and the love that's worth fighting for. Now, that's really sincerely honest. Now, I mean that, you know. There is wonderful people out there. All of you that I'm speaking to you now, all of the people I know in real life are lovable people. Can't say they do everything right, but every one of us, every one of you, I'd say is a pretty lovable people. And I see no reason to, yeah, to whatever. Basically, whatever. I just can't watch this, you know, and I know that there's nothing that individuals can do. So this is, I suppose, my effort to kind of bring us together as a voice or as an intent or something, so that we can kind of at least see how many of us there are. I don't think it needs us all to have any message. You know, I think once 10,000 emails would come in with questions, I'd say, well, let's start our own society. But obviously, you know, the questions that come from people who want government, so. And to start a society, I suppose that does look a little bit like another government anyway, so yeah. We just got to get it into our, well, we individuals have to get it into our heads that we are individual. And that there's, you know, you're going to do something unique and individual that the majority of other people think is weird. But if you don't stick to that, if you don't stick to your dream, then you'll lose your individuality and just become a part of a group. And that group is then what gets led. And that's the problem we're in. You know, we should have never been led astray. And those of us who are leaders of people, in whichever way, We've just bowed down, we've just sat down, just let us walk all over us. And with the massive amount of ego problem on the planet, nobody wants to be led. So it seems like everybody has agreed on like this surrogate leader so that no one can lead. When in actual fact we've got a secret leader. A mastermind puppet master. You know, all I've ever said is just do what you love. Pursue what you love. Share it with others. Don't force others to do what they don't want to do. Don't hurt others. Simple as that. Do what you love. And if you did that, if you just observe the world as it with your own reason and with your own eyes and your own perception, and try and get the sobriety back and that clarity away from all of those toxins and drugs and nicotine and alcohol and caffeine and fluorine, vaccines and aspartame, E-numbers, the millions of E-numbers and the sugar that turns to acid. You know, get clear of all that and then start to ask yourself a few questions and then see if the answers are different. I don't drive a car when I'm drunk. So I don't think about politics or world affairs or people or anything when I'm not sober. And let's face it, most people these days, you know, we get a lot of medications. And so maybe that's why it's difficult for people to see that last final little bit. And I don't think people are unintelligent. I think people are more intelligent. They can add numbers up quicker than I can. They can read a clock quicker than me. People are pretty sharp, but there seems to be one part of one neuron or something in the brain that seems to grant authority all of your power. Seems to say, look after me. And whether it's God or government or guardian, just take me in your arms, please. Love me. Give me things, I trust you in return. We all die together. For the greater good we choose the lesser evil. You see what I mean? That's what it sounds like to me. That's my observation of people. I know most of you on this channel here, in fact all of you are probably like pretty clued up already, so I'm wasting my words on the wrong people probably. Anyway, 48 minutes, that's 50 minutes of talking from me. I hope you could get something out of it. And like I say, if you had any questions of what to ask the politicians, your government, or if you've got anything to say to them, just let me know. Write it in a comment. And even if I didn't get down there, it'd be an interesting thing. And I'll do something with the comments. And I'll talk about them on a video. I hope you made it this far anyway, and I hope I didn't annoy you, because I did annoy myself a bit. Alright then, yeah, so take it easy, and yeah, without being lovey-dovey, you know, I do think about you, and this is why I'm making these videos. I'm not putting advertisements out. I'm not gaining in popularity, I think, except for those who understand me and what I'm doing. This isn't about me getting popular. This isn't even about me. But I can't talk about other people because it's just not fair. That's why I use myself as the example every time. That's why this channel's all me, I. I refuse to say we too much, because that just involves you. So thanks ever so much and see you later.